Patrick, it's him. It's Josh Person. You notice, even though they casted a skinny guy to be this freaking gorilla, the humor was nailed, the attitude nailed. Because
well, that's why he played.
We're here in 5 minutes in, and it's about scat play.
Sweet. I miss a spot.
The following show is being broadcasted from an undisclosed location. Two former special operators have combined their badassery and now sharing it with the world.
They ain't alive no more.
All with a beer and a smile. This is the Savage Actual Podcast. And now your hosts, combat vets with 20-plus deployments between the two of them and enough testosterone to operate the power grid of Los Angeles. Savage Actual. Now your hosts, Jason and Patrick.
Oh, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason with Savage Actual. I'm sitting here with my co-host, Mr.
This is Patrick Moultrup, all the way in California. Hello, everybody.
So, 20 years ago, we invaded Iraq, a far and distant land, and 20 years ago, First Recon was kicking ass, taking names, and I'm sitting with some bros from that unit that was portrayed on Generation Kill, HBO, a long time ago. Rudy here played himself, Mr. Rudy Reyes, Josh Person to the left, myself, you guys know my name, and the man of the hour, Mr. Doug Osborne, with a nonprofit that's putting this reunion together from WRF. We're here in Great Falls, Montana, of all places, at a brewery called Mighty Mo Brewery. So I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time, and this wouldn't happen without this nonprofit organizing all of this. And man of the hour, we're going to get him on here to talk a little bit about WRF and what they do for our veterans nationwide.
Hey, thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to host you out here in beautiful Montana. We'll be up in the Little Belt Mountains at a place called Camp Rotary near Nyhart, Montana. It's a great spot. I think you guys will have a really good time there, reconnecting with your bros, and just all around, it'll be a good time. Warrior Reunion Foundation. This is what we do. We put on reunions all over the country. We got a spot out off the Chesapeake Bay called Patriot Point. Camp Pendleton has opened up Camp Talega. If you're unfamiliar with Camp Talega, it's the camp featured in the movie Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, and also Recon.
Yes,
it's the OG. It's the OG of Recon, brother. Not just Heartbreak Ridge, but Talega itself. All of our senior leadership, especially rest in peace, First Sergeant Smith. Spoke of the legendary days in Talega.
Horsehead.
Yep, with the freaking hunts and the ocean freaking 20 meters away, conducting legitimate reconnaissance and amphibious operations there. So,
it's a great spot. Talega's a fucking great spot.
Oh, yeah. We're honored that Pendleton's opened that up. It's awesome to watch guys reconnect, where they used to train.
Absolutely. So when did WRF start?
It was first conceived in 2015. Our founder, James Ferguson, met one of our board members, Cliff Cornell, and Cliff asked him what he would like to do, and James said he wanted to reconnect with his guys. He was with 312 in Afghanistan, and so him and one of his NCOs from that deployment, Drew St. Cyr, kind of got together, put their heads together, and conceived Warrior Reunion Foundation. They did their unit back in 2015, and then Warrior Reunion Foundation was officially became an organization in 2017. Ironically, when I got off active duty, I wanted the reserves, and we were their first official reunion as WRF, and that's how I got involved. I started volunteering with them after that, and then came on full time last year.
Nice, man. So for listeners out there, people that are interested in supporting an organization like this, facilitating reunions, how do they find you? Like, what's the socials, man? Like, how do people reach out to you?
All our socials are at Warrior Reunion, and then you can check out our website, warriorreunionfoundation.org. If you're a combat veteran and are looking to get your unit back together, definitely check us out. Follow us on social media, see what we're out there doing, And then you can go to the Start Your Reunion section of our website, and that's where you'll get all the information on how you can reach out to us and start putting together a reunion. We're looking to fill some slots in 2024, so check us out.
Nice.
Fantastic. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I'm really looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah. It'll be a debacle, definitely.
There will be no evidence.
Everybody that's listening to this podcast, make sure you guys go and check out the description of the podcast. I'll have Warrior Reunion's social media stuff and their website in the description in a link, and you should be able to just click on that and go right to their website. So make sure you guys don't just check out their website. Give them some support. Like you said, they're a nonprofit, and they raise money by people voluntarily giving funds to support them. And so please go to follow the link in our podcast and go to Warrior Reunion and support what they do.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, to kick this off, 20 years ago we invaded Iraq, and first recon Alpha through Charlie companies with H&S crossed the border, and we were there for a bit, kicking ass, taking names as first recon does, and we couldn't have done it without each other. So not only do we have Bravo 2 dudes here, I got a bro from Bravo 3 that was there with us.
Get in here, Will.
Call sign Weedabit. Yeah. Strange. I'll just say it really quick. After we had chopped the head off the snake in Baghdad and then moved up to Bakuba and did all kinds of recon by fire missions and screening missions, we got back to this place called Diwania. And it was an old Soviet tank factory. And we stood there in Diwania for months and months, living underneath a carport that would get to 130, 140 degrees because the cement that was around it would cook during the day. Yes. So after a while, we got tray rats. It had been months and we'd been living on MRE. Then we got tray rats. And then some cats came around with some freaking cereal. And the cereal was called Weetabix. And it was these twice the size of a toaster pastry piece of wheat, shredded wheat.
Yeah,
and
so
then powdered milk.
imagine mini shredded wheat, but this big.
I don't remember that.
Was that Iraqi food?
Don't speak
Where did that come from?
Yeah, it might have been something in the region of the Middle East.
No, it wasn't. It's
what
so
was
for
it,
those of you that don't speak Rudy, it's called a wheat a bit.
But Prescott says it. Weetabix. And for some reason,
it's an older cereal.
Yes, a very old cereal. It was probably from the 60s because, Josh and I fought in Afghanistan. We were the first Marines fighting in Afghanistan in 2001 from the ship. And the first MREs we got issued were the dark brown ones.
The OG from the base of the ship.
Yeah, from Desert Storm and before.
It was like chicken a la king.
Oh, and the omelet.
Omelet.
Yeah. Foul dog.
They had the original freaking. Yeah, those had the original freaking like frankfurters in them. They're
Four fingers of death.
The four
fingers of death.
So they had been shitting. They had been sitting in a well deck of a ship for like 20 years.
Yep.
And that's what we eat.
That's right.
In Afghanistan.
Right.
That's right. It's about right. As per SOP. Marine Corps. Rock.
So a shout out to the other brothers of First Recon. So, Bravo 2 randomly got a reporter. And that's what blew Bravo 2 up. But we cannot fucking forget about Bravo 3, Bravo 1, and every other company and every other recon Marine that was there with us. Bravo 2 got the light.
The glory.
The glory. But we were all in it together. So I want everyone to remember it wasn't
we
just.
We deserved it, though.
We did deserve it. We were the best platoon for sure.
We were the best.
Out of all of them.
So we were the pipe hitter, right? Everybody else.
Why did he pick you guys as company, do you think? Why do you think when he came forward and talked to you guys, what was the reporter's name from Rolling Stone?
Evan Wright.
Why did he pick your company?
I'll tell you the truth. He was directed towards our company.
I was going to say, I don't think he had a choice.
He was directed to our company because also we were the most experience-heavy platoon.
Right.
All of us all of us were combat vets. Some of us had fought in Somalia and Desert Storm. We were a heavy platoon, and that's why, to be honest, that's why we were so successful, to be honest.
Because he wanted to be at the very front, and he was told by Fernando that we were going to be at the front, or by General Mattis. So he picked First Recon, and then he talked to or Captain or Fernando. Colonel Fernando.
Colonel Fernando.
Man, we started drinking early, and this is empty,
and I haven't had
right?
any food yet.
Right.
So, yeah,
we drank the whole bottle.
They were directed to us, and we had characters, but we also had, and these guys will vouch, the hardest dudes were in our platoon because a lot of the tough junior guys were grunts in Afghanistan with us as recon Marines. We were just a heavy platoon, to be honest.
Well, and then Brad had built Colbert. So from the series, Brad Colbert, Iceman, which is super stupid. Nobody ever called him that except for Aspera.
Not once.
But
not fucking once.
You know, the guys like Rudy and I, we all called him Big Gay Brad.
Big Gay Brad was his.
Because he's like, hey, I'm Big Gay Al, from South Park.
Well, he was not
a very effeminate quality.
Yeah, he wasn't the quintessential meat eater gorilla. And
I don't think he PT'd,
instead, I never saw him PT once, and I knew him. I mean, on my second enlist, I'd known him for 3 or 4 years, never seen him PT once. However,
super good dude, but
super smart.
But what he did is he wanted to build a super team. So he actually kind of fucked me. So because I was hoping to be an ATL or a TL, and Brad made me his RTO, which really fucking pissed me off. He convinced Fick to make me his RTO. Because he wanted to build a super team, and so my proficiency is, the brain side, like technology, all that kind of stuff.
And on this note, the brain side, I mean, you see the width of the cranium here. I mean, the amount of cerebral power. I mean, this is like...
Broke his mother's pelvis coming out.
True
like
story.
A bulldog.
God rest her soul.
They had to break her hips to get me out.
God rest her soul.
But
who was Brad's ATO?
It was Aspera,
who became my TL in the vehicle.
So Aspera and Brad became buddies during Afghanistan. Remember, he was with the grunts, and they always hung out together. And Brad's the one that brought Aspera over, and so they were like butt fucking each other.
He
made him his ATL.
To be real, be very direct. It was a strategic move from Brad. Because Brad is not a physically dominant guy, so he brought a thug over for his ATL. To be honest, Tony's
been fucking thug.
He's a grunt, right?
Yes.
He's a grunt, platoon.
He's a homie.
A squad leader through and through.
He ain't a fucking recon Marine. So
he's a grunt.
It was a really smart strategic move, and it paid dividends in the short term. But it really ruined both of their careers.
So honestly, Brad was trying to build a dream team. So like trying to amass the best of each thing.
It was a strategic
so that
move.
if there were any like side missions that were like high profile, that he would be the instant go-to team for that.
He was thinking like a captain or a major, not a sergeant.
Correct. And so that's why I became the fucking RTO. And he wanted.
Where do you think the Iceman moniker came from? Do you think that was Hollywood just coming up with fucking this?
Aspera is the only one that ever called him Iceman
because he's so clinical. Colbert's very clinical.
I don't mean this. I don't mean this negatively, but Aspera was kind of dick sucked to Brad because he brought him over to Recon, right? And he called him Iceman and looked up to him, right?
Loyalty is a big deal, and I get
it's fucking huge.
I get that.
And Aspera is a loyal motherfucker.
Yes,
he is. He's loyal. Aspera is a good dude. I'm not trying to disparage him at all. But that's where the Iceman moniker came from, was from Aspera.
Gotcha. I thought that was something completely Hollywood that, how much, so what would, like percentage-wise, what would you guys say percentage-wise was just total made-up fucking garbage that they threw in to sensationalize the story?
It's 70-30.
I would say nothing. I would say nothing made up. I would say nothing was made up, but how it was portrayed.
It's sensationalized.
You have to imagine. So here's the way.
Inflated in a very short. You're capturing an entire 8-month, 6-month deployment in 7 hours. 7 hours. Of actors portraying. I love these guys. Kellan Lutz, our actors, PJ,
Michael Kelly,
that portrayed psychopath fucking recon Marines, right? So they have to overcompensate and inflate to portray.
Well,
us.
So like anytime in storytelling, right? So if you're going to tell a story that spanned 9 months, you need to compress that, right?
Of course.
And
for sure.
The easiest way to do that in a book, which is what Evan Wright did, is you have to typecast. And the virtue of typecasting is that you can compress an individual to a type, and that fills a ton of backstory to people.
Archetype.
They archetype people,
Stafford.
and so you immediately now know kind of who they are without having to tell the full backstory. And so, and then two is this is Evan's perspective of us.
That's what was skewed the most.
Roughly like a PFC or a Lance Corporal
and
perspective.
And a liberal, and not even a PFC, because at least a PFC has to sleep with his rifle in boot camp and knows how to say kill. I'm telling you the truth. Remember, I worked on the production every day.
But then you get Evan's perspective, right? Which is the book, which is what it's based off of.
For sure.
But then you have
HBO weighing.
HBO,
which is very liberal,
and David Simon and his perspective of Evan Wright's perspective.
Yes. Oh, they were battling.
Right.
They were battling on set, and I think Evan was let go.
Oh, really?
Evan was battling for more money and more prestige. This is now a production. I would say as a production, it was absolutely fantastic compared to anything that's ever been done before. However, me watching day to day, it was just as nefarious, diabolic, and as backstabbing as any place on Wall Street. Now, David Simon, who had done The Wire, and then Ed Burns, who was a Vietnam veteran, policeman, and then a school teacher. They wrote The Wire about the fallout and the degradation of the city of Baltimore. And they made money on telling the story of corruption. It informed their worldview. To be real, none of these people, while we were in a war on terror for 20 years, picked up a rifle and did a damn thing. I look back and I look at these people. They were making money on people's pain and struggle and glory, and they turned it into typecast archetypes to tell their narrative. Military is bad. America is bad. Bush is an idiot. And look at these brave young men brought up to the slaughter. And yet the dialogue was real. Yet the combat was really well done. The combat was understated, I would say.
Yeah. As it should be, because that's the way it is in real life.
So, and I'm in the entertainment business now, and I'm at a status that I can tell the truth about all this.
Gay porn.
Yeah, not that entertainment business, although my skin is still beautiful.
That is entertaining.
I have this. It was very entertaining. Now, looking back 20 years, 15 years, 13 years after the series, all services, they hold Generation Kill as the most authentic and the most culturally connected experience of the global war on terror.
The one thing I will give David Simon a lot of kudos for is because he called me early on when they were doing the scripts. And Ed Burns was writing a lot of the filler, right?
You guys are buddy?
Not really, but so
yeah. You talk about you did some of the technical stuff for them, right? I remember you talked about that.
I had a lot of involvement as well, but it was more behind the scenes. So early on, it was. So David Simon and I talked on the phone, and he's like, "Look, I want a Marine to be able to watch this series and see absolutely nothing wrong with it." And he had kind of made it.
Right.
He had made a name for himself in The Wire as a cop show doing kind of the same thing. And so I was like, cool. And one of the first things that I started doing was I started taking Ed Burns, which was Army Vietnam era. And
very disillusioned.
He would write
very
scripting,
disillusioned.
And I would then rewrite that for current Marine Corps slang. and culture.
Gotcha.
And writing 9 lines, things for like
it was really well done. That was so well done in the series, and that's what goes to the front. That's what people experience with it.
Right, and like Eric and Jeff on set, like they met with the prop makers. And like little things like the starlight scope.
They worked tirelessly. Eric and Jeff worked tirelessly.
The prop makers would make these elaborate, like Transformers looking cool shit.
Yep. Fabricate.
And Eric and Jeff would show up and look at it and just break it over their knee and be like, no, this is wrong. This is not what a starlight scope looks like. You get no artistic freedom here. It needs to look exactly like this. And they did.
Were they not able to get those props?
They had to fabricate and then ultimately, after fabrication, make molds and then cast these things in rubber. And,
wow, that's crazy. You'd think somebody in fucking Hollywood would have that shit laying around somewhere. I mean,
Patrick, to this day, watch Dune, the new production that was $150 million. They're still wearing the same Nomex gloves with a little piece of
flight gloves.
The same flight gloves that I used for the show because companies run the outfitting. It's very interesting. So yes, it was what Eric and Jeff did was very counterculture to make sure it was so authentic.
Which is exactly what David Simon wanted. Yeah. So, right, like that's why there's no music in the series. There's only 2 songs in the entire 7-part miniseries.
Right. You're at the end?
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
At the very end, and that is when they played the Johnny Cash song.
And then Avril Lavigne.
No.
No, it was Teenage Dirtbag.
No.
But we were singing
it. It was a song I wrote and recorded that's playing in a jukebox.
Shameless plug.
In the
Shut up. You wrote the song?
Yeah, so I sold them the music rights to a song called "It's Re-Up Time"
by MC Moto.
The rap song.
You never told me this.
Yes. So I sold them the music rights. It's in one of the episodes. It's when they're in like a Motor T pool, and the only reason they put it in is because there's a boombox in the Motor T playing the song. So it's not like playing like a song would normally play in a movie. It's playing like background music, but it's me singing.
Unlike
all the beats, and it's a sarcastic song about re-enlisting.
Yes,
in the Marine
because
Corps.
He was such an unmotivator.
So my handle for that was MC Moto.
Yes, tongue in cheek always. So we were not allowed. We were not like the rest of the military. We are not allowed to have music or any comforts out there. I'm serious. This is why I hold this on such a high esteem.
No cots. No.
I'm talking SOCOM. Anybody. I don't care what tier. We lived hard and ancient. There was no music. Yeah. There was no headphones allowed. All we had was each other.
Well, why would you waste the space on when you can stick an extra battery?
Absolutely, or another magazine.
Yeah. Or another magazine.
More water.
Right.
And so all we had was each other. And
the 150 pounds in our ruck.
Yeah, locate, close with, and destroy the enemy. The only 2 things on our mind were those 2 things. And I think
so
that's what
women.
When first Recon showed up in the Middle East, were you guys across the border in Kuwait? Where exactly were you guys at?
Yes. Right? Yes, for a few months. Training, and probing and doing stuff right on the border to get Iraqi eyes looking our way. Matter of fact, we had that one incredible training op where the thunder and rain came in and lightning fucking blanked out all the comms. And you remember we were training. You don't remember this?
Vehicle mounted.
Yes, my comms never went out. So I'll say this: my comms never went out.
I'm sure his comms went out first. That's why no one's talking.
Never.
You don't remember the electrical storm?
No.
Well, we were rehearsing.
I don't.
Well, we were rehearsing the bridge mission over and over in the cover of darkness.
Yeah.
And then we had to have it, and then it was canked because now it was getting so extreme with the electrical storm and so much rain, and we were only driving on nods. Do you vaguely remember this now? No. There's a picture of...
The only thing I really remember from Matilda was when you burned my fucking face off.
Yeah, you'll forever remember
with the hexamite tabs.
Yeah, and I did him a favor.
Cooking fucking coffee.
All right, check it out, guys. So we're living in these fucking gigantic, like, Middle Eastern fucking tents that were actually quite awesome to block us from the goddamn elements.
Yeah.
And our tent specifically was segregated. It was 2nd platoon and 3rd platoon who had the back end. We had a bunch of shit in the middle that segregated us, but we're all bros. We're free flowing back and forth. Yeah. Lots of shit talking. Brewing fucking coffee. This guy brings a percolator, right?
Yes, and it was not just the perk. What it was is we had JPA.
It was JPA. It was the diesel fuel that we were trying to use in these stoves.
Yeah, and it was really hard to burn.
We didn't have the jets for the JPA.
Yep.
And so what you had to do, you could use it.
That's right.
But you had to put a hexamite tab under the fuel line.
Yeah.
And light that first to preheat that. So then when you turned on the diesel, that it would actually light and burn.
It was hot enough to light.
I used to love those heat tabs. I wish they kept giving those things out. Those things were awesome.
So Rudy is going to make coffee. So
and it was always a family affair. I mean, we made coffee for everybody.
It was some November Juliet.
Yeah,
right?
some sweet November Juliet.
Oh, good Lord!
I know. Taryn,
we are in a different. Time and place.
A different time.
So he had this stove, but it's windy outside. So you put inside the tent. He just lights the hexamite tab, and once it heats up and gets it lit, he's going to take it outside.
Yep.
Well, the outside, when you filled it with the diesel, the outside has diesel on it.
Yep.
Well, he's holding it, and he lights the hexamite tab, and he's burning it, and he's walking to the outside, and the diesel on the outside of the thing catches fire, and so he drops it. Well, I happen to be sitting.
Laying, sitting. Sleeping.
Against the tent deck. And when that thing hits the deck, the hexamite tab, it's all gel now.
Yep.
And so it goes like this, and it splatters all across my face.
And
so
across
shit.
Like the whole place about to go up.
I have burning hexamite gel.
Napalm.
All over my face.
Napalm. He handled it like a stud, I gotta be honest.
I rolled my face into the tent
and
to put it out.
I saw somebody, it might have been Gabe, it might have been somebody leap to you and throw something on your face too, like a poncho or something. And then now the ISO mat's on fire, and it's like going. I mean, and I've never seen Recon Brothers move so fucking fast. But dudes exploded.
But I have Wolverine healing powers for some reason. I don't know why.
His shit came right back.
So that's my superpower.
His eyeball grew back.
Is that I heal like so fast. I don't know how it happens, but I must have like HGH fucking coming out
like a tiger's blood.
Tiger's blood, right? I'm fucking Wolverine, right?
Machine.
Like I get a cut, boom, a day later it's gone. Right? No scar, no nothing. And so I'm burned, and they're like, "You're fucking burned."
Yeah. We might lose you. Now you can't
do the invasion. We can't. We're gonna lose you before we even.
Fuck.
And literally within a week, all these like
third degree
burns. They put Silvadine on my face, and the corpsmen were like, I go back, and they're cleaning it up, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's fucking healed."
It's healed.
And what was it? Timmy Bryant, the corpsman, he's
18 Delta.
He goes,
Confounded.
Dude, when we get back to the States, they need to do a fucking study on you, dude.
They need to do a study on you.
Whatever your body does, it is insane.
Yeah.
And I was fully healed within a week.
And that was before the invasion. That was the worst wound he got.
I was healed before the invasion.
That's right. That's right. Holy shit.
I remember that shit.
Yeah. I had to meet with Fernando, and they're like all pissed. And I had to
there
pretend.
Was a cover story.
I had to pretend that Rudy was outside.
Yeah, there was a cover story.
Time.
And all of us circled the wagons. Yes. These guys circled the wagons. Fick circled the wagons.
Fucking circled the wagons.
Everybody circled. Gunny Wynn circled the wagons.
For our listeners, what do you mean by circle the wagons?
Meaning we came up with a story, and that was our fucking story, and we're sticking to it.
And we protected ourselves from the Mongolian invaders, i.e. the head check.
Yep. The colonel.
Higher command.
From the fucking colonel and the fucking sergeant major. Who wasn't a pogue, but he is a pedo.
Yeah.
Right?
He touched kids.
He does touch little girls.
Do you guys want... So I think a lot of people really don't know about that. And obviously that's not something huge we want to get into, but you guys want to kind of touch it because I'm assuming he's
not expect to talk about this.
The one question I get a lot is that surely his character is a caricature. The way he speaks And I'm like, no, dude, he spoke exactly like that.
I don't remember how he spoke.
I think it's in the Marine Corps. I think when you
give everybody his name, his name,
so on the show.
So like they use his Marines guts to like it's. I don't even know how to do it, but
police your mustache.
His name,
but police those mustaches.
Mustache.
But
what was his? What was
in the
his
Marine
name?
Corps, once you make first sergeant, you're issued a speech impediment.
His name was
Santiago.
Santiago, like he had this little gimp hand. Also, he was a good dude, but he would be like, you need to. He's Puerto Rican, and he's like, hey, you guys need to go to the S2 and do the.
He's Puerto Rican, by the way. He's a jerk. He's a jerk.
Santiago's fucking awesome.
Yes. So I was just.
I bust the balls of the people I love.
You guys don't know this. He gave me my first page 11. Santiago. I love the guy.
And I'm sure you deserved it.
He would bring
the
wine dude from Puerto Rico, the wine moonshine.
He was
at the Marine Corps ball.
Brother, he's just the sweetest man. By the way, I just saw all of our old Recon brothers 3 or 4 weeks ago before I went to New Zealand for a Recon Brothers retirement at the new ARS BRC on Pendleton.
It's not ARS.
No, it's not ARS.
Don't even give
it
that.
But you know what? I will tell you what.
ARS is ARS.
Yes,
nothing else.
But their ropers were squared away and did everything. And I brought Jay the first time she got to see a retirement ceremony. We had freaking Kruger. We had Santiago. We had Gary Gordable. We had Biddle. We had all kinds of caps. Santiago's Silver Fox.
Where's he living?
Puerto Rico.
All like 110 pounds of them.
Yeah, still
you guys
at least
go to ARS?
Yeah,
I went to ARS.
Yeah.
I went to the hard one.
Real recon Marines went to ARS.
Not true.
The
BRC
bitch.
For me, ARS is East Coast. BRC was a West Coast.
They had flat land because they couldn't have the hills.
No, the veg.
So
we had fucking swamps, dude,
and veg,
and no brass, and no brass looking at us.
And dead reckoning through the deadfall at night in
doing underwater crossovers in the fucking swamp.
Yeah,
what's that called?
So,
oh God!
Oh, no.
Party film. Whatever.
It's okay. What was our sergeant major's name?
Sixta. Bobby Sixta. The coward of Kofji.
Oh, you know his first name.
Yeah, old Bobby Sixta.
The coward of Kofji.
Yeah, so the story on that, so in Desert Storm...
Actually, was he at that? Because so the first Gulf War, Kofji was supposed to be, at the time, wasn't that the big...
Yes, so the reason we got the people want to fucking slit his throat
somehow
is they were with the team and they went off to go use a phone, I guess, or something. And they were on a roof.
Yeah, I thought they were doing
and they had one of those little Toyota Highlanders or something.
They were up on the roof, a team, 5-6 guys.
And they get run on, and he fucking takes off in the truck and leaves the rest of his team.
He says there,
holy shit,
Sixta.
Yeah, Sixta, and so that's why he got the name Coward of Kofji. So the old school guys, when we were in, fucking
nobody
hated
respected
his
him.
guts.
First Sergeant Smith, nobody respected
him. They're like,
him.
I hope he dies.
So he just stayed in and just picked up rank because he stayed in.
Yes.
And to be, as it's portrayed in Generation Kill, is quite correct. Although he's the highest ranking enlisted guy at the unit, nobody took him seriously, and he kind of
was a fucking joke.
Put into his own little place with Lincoln Logs and Tinker Toys.
Like here's the best example. So while we were there, so it used to be the jump wings and the silver dive bubble, right? And that was the stack. Well,
dual cool.
Halfway through, dual cool. So halfway through, well, we had the quad bodies, right? So sniper, jump, dive, and ranger.
Yep.
So you had the stack, right? And the silver bubble meant you went to dive school. Well, not all dive schools are created equally.
That's right.
So there were some dive schools which were like glorified paddy courses, essentially.
Yes, scuba diving course through the Navy as opposed to combatant dive.
So there's the Marine Corps Combat Dive School down in Panama City. Well, halfway through, they decided, hey, we're going to differentiate the two with the emblems. So if you went to the bullshit dive school, you get the silver bubble. If you went to Marine Combat Dive School, you got a gold bubble, which was new.
little new mask.
Yeah, what year did that start? Because I remember a lot of dudes running around with the fucking silver bubble.
Oh yeah, that's how it was in the 90s.
It was silver bubble up until 2002, I think. Even.
Maybe 2002.
2001, 2. Yeah. It was after we got back from Afghanistan.
Okay.
2000,
yeah.
early.
And then it was the gold over gold, and then eventually,
gold, right? Well, if you didn't go to Marine Combat Dive School, you didn't rate the gold bubble. You had to wear the silver one.
Yep.
Fucking Sixta, the very next day after they instituted that, didn't wear either. Because he would rather wear nothing than wear that silver bubble and not the gold bubble. Because he didn't rate the gold bubble.
Yeah. This analyzer remembers that small detail from 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, because the guy...
There were quite a few that did that. They just completely stopped wearing the stack. Because the Marine Corps, for those that aren't like, especially if you're Army or Navy or whatever, the Marine Corps doesn't have tabs and patches.
We're the only unit at that time of all units to rate devices unless you were an airman.
If you went to jump school, you could wear it, right? But you would wear the silver until you got your 5 jumps, and then you get the gold. If you went to dive school. So typically, if you had both the jump and the dive, you were 99.9% you're a recon Marine. At some point.
You
guys. How many fucking admin idiots? How many admin idiots do you see running around with fucking the Army Lead Wings who got it for their reenlistment? They got their 5 jumps and never jumped again.
Dual cool, as it's called, with our ranks.
99.9 were all recon Marines. Occasionally,
you'd get a guy with lead studs and admin that got jump schools like a reenlistment bonus.
But they never get combat dive.
But combat dive, you really had to be a recon.
For sure. Yeah, you don't see that in the Marine Corps if they're not fucking recon.
Have their trident,
that's right. That's right.
Everybody has their emblem that they would wear. Well, Marine Corps had no devices like that.
No.
And so the only way you could really tell that a recon Marine versus any other Marine was the dual.
There were plenty great recon Marines that didn't go to insert schools that were scout snipers and that were magnificent. So sadly.
I didn't go to dive school.
But actually, to be honest,
Jason's raising his hand.
Everybody who's who in the zoo knows who's who and respects who's who. We don't even need anything on the chest.
Larry Sean Patrick's is a quad body.
Sure.
Yeah, he's a quad body.
Yeah,
I used to laugh. So I was never, dude. I was fucking infantry. I was security forces, and then I was in a Riverine unit when I was still in the Marine Corps. I used to laugh.
Every Marine's a rifleman.
JJ,
we're all equally worthless.
JJ gets high buckle.
I used to laugh at the fucking recon dudes because so I was in a small craft company in Camp Lejeune, the Riverine unit, and we actually had a couple. It was weird. We had a couple recon dudes in there that I don't know how they ended up in the fucking unit. I honestly, to this day, I still really don't know. There's this dude Fitzpatrick who had been a recon.
DUIs.
You know what?
Yeah, probably.
Patrick, I'll let you continue, Patrick. Then I've got something to say.
It was funny because we would see the Anglico dudes running around, and they had the black. They would wear the black sweat.
Everybody wanted to wear black.
And oh my god, the recon dudes would get so fucking pissed because these dudes were in black silkies and a black hoodie.
Oh my god. Now check this out, Patrick.
Black on black was the.
Yep.
Both Jason and I did turnover with 2nd Recon. There was a big cultural difference between West Coast and East Coast.
Amen.
And everybody says East Coast is so tough. I disagree. In general, much less disciplined. Smoked cigarettes. First and foremost, that's already a fucking no-go.
White discipline, dog.
Yeah, everything. Smell discipline, everything.
Discipline.
I think because the East Coast was such a degraded and
very country. Very country. Very.
Well, in San Diego, we've got triathlon, we've got a music scene, we've got martial art.
We would do the Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah, it was just such a different culture, and we were blessed to be at a time in the unit where our senior leadership. When I came in, it was Recon Company. It was only 3 platoons.
Yeah. Same.
Yes,
we were Recon.
It was just such.
It was so small.
We had Sparks. We had these. Our officers were excellent. We had Dill. We had everybody.
ECD. Everybody was tight. It was a good old boy club, right? So at that point in time, because it was so small, they could be a lot more selective.
Quality control.
It was first Recon company. So when you do selection, you're looking for people that are not badge hunters. You're looking for people that want to do the job and love it,
and work great together. Work great.
And so it was like a little. It was like its own little cult.
Yeah.
And so they would pick people that they knew would gel with their cult.
Of course.
And so
but everybody had to have a baseline.
It was a meritocracy.
Yes, everybody did. Am I right? Everybody did have to have a baseline.
It's funny that you guys say that, because literally that's how Tier 1 stuff is now. You want to go to CAG, you want to go to Delta. It's like, yeah, you can like most of those guys can physically make it through the screening, but then a large portion of those guys get weeded out in the interviews. And if you're not you're not going to click with the team, you're not going to fit with the dudes, you're not going to make it. That's a big part of what they do. So it's kind of like, it's kind of coming back around the same sort of thing.
Even when you make it,
you're always proving it.
You go to ARS
even
or
when
BRC,
you make it, you're still
and you
proving
technically have the MOS.
Doesn't matter.
Because at the time, there was a secondary MOS as well. So you have the MOS, but you get chopped to your unit, you're still not a Recon Marine yet.
No, you still got to wear a rope. Imagine being an MOS cat that's been through and we went to ARS, a fucking hard school, where I've seen
it was an attrition
Marines,
school. It was an attrition school.
Better Marines, senior sergeants, scout snipers, and had already been a ranger, failed because of injury. And in those days, there is no recycle. These were better men, and there was no money to keep them in, and they get thrown back to the grunts. And so we go through the selection, and still we get to the unit. You wear a rope, you wear a green T-shirt.
And you're a roper, and you don't get to wear the black on black, and you have to run everywhere until you pass the end dock.
Yep.
And even then, you're still a fucking boot ass motherfucker.
You're still on notice.
Right?
You're still on notice for your first 3 or 4 years.
With,
And I wouldn't have
that's crazy.
I wouldn't either. I loved it. It was very much a meritocracy. It was very much OJT.
Yep.
And it was a cult. There was no manual, right? It was, we bring you into the fold and we breed you. Yeah. Right. We breed you,
and it was almost a religious approach to what we wanted in each other and in respect to the unit. And to bring it back to Generation Kill, looking back, we were so successful. No one was killed.
Yeah.
We were so fucking successful because we all had so much passion and love for each other and the respect of what we stood for. We just didn't take any shortcuts. We fought, brother, with no fucking sleep for weeks at a time in mop suits, and there were no shortcuts for anybody, and that is why we won. To be honest with you.
Why do you say that, man?
Go ahead. What do you think?
No, that's a really good point, dude. Like, we talked about this today, actually, a few hours ago. We took, as far as I know, two injuries, and it was Larry Sean Patrick to the foot,
and
the fracture of the foot.
Darnold.
Trevor Darnold.
He got the shot in
like
the
a BB,
arm,
basically.
In the shrapnel or something, right?
Yeah.
No, he took a round to the forearm.
Was it direct?
Yeah, he took an AK round direct. The round was in his arm, and he got medevaced out. But
and that was Moafakia, correct?
No. It was before Nazaria or Moafakia. It was that one where we turned the corner.
Yes, that's Moafakia.
No, Moafakia was the bridge.
Oh, you're right.
Ambush.
Diwania. Was it? No, Diwania was when we retrograded back. What was
it had
the
no
bill?
name.
What was the bill? I know the bill.
It had no name.
The bill before.
All right,
so it was the one in Generation Kill where they're going in and there's this big building and they're like shooting at them. That's the one where we turn, right?
So Darnold was on, by the way.
We're just
it was
back
on, by the way. So we turned that corner.
We had 22 whole rounds go through our Humvee.
It was on.
Yeah, that's crazy that went on and no one was killed. I'm blown away that, I mean, you guys know how many, like you're talking about it, how many rounds you guys took and no one was killed. And you don't have it. It's not like you're rolling in MRAPs or even up armored Humvees. I cannot believe nobody was killed.
Back Humvees with fucking turret that we had made and welded into the fucking
Dune buggies with a great suspension is what we were driving in.
No armored reconnaissance. NAR was our joke, dude.
But we were all so alert. We were just so on.
And it was awesome. It was epic.
Our armor was our attitude and our heavy guns, and that we cared about each other at the same time, always competing with each other, but in the right way, not in a driving forward. I want to make you the best Rudy possible. That's right.
You want to make me the best.
That's right. It wasn't a Blue Falcon kind of way. It was awesome.
We held each other to accountability.
Evan Wright get through that without? Did he not completely piss himself in that situation?
We'll let Ray talk about that.
Evan was in our Humvee. So we turned the corner. I'm driving. So I drove, and that's depicted in
I was driving
but
at that time too.
I drove because there was no fucking way anyone else was driving that Humvee. Because you probably know this. In combat, you never know how somebody's going to respond until they've been put in that moment. So you have the biggest shit talkers. Again, I love a spirited death.
Yep.
And I'm going to give him kudos here at the end.
Yep.
But the first firefights, he talks big shit.
Yeah, he does.
Man, I was repo in LA. You don't even know, dog. I'm fucking hood.
I'm Mexican.
I'm fucking hard. I'm from a bumfuck town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm from Kansas City. He's from rural Missouri.
I'm from country bumpkin motherfucker, right? And we roll in the first big firefight we get into, here's where I'm going to give him kudos. He's like, dog, I locked up.
He did own up to it.
And he owned up to it, and then he was better from that point forward. You own it, and then he moved, right?
Yeah, good.
He was good after that, right? But he owned up to it. You never know how somebody's going to react until bullets start flying. And so there was no fucking way anyone else was driving that vehicle with my life at their control.
Yeah.
If I don't know how they're going to respond. I know how I'm going to respond. I'm just...
I'm going to do what needs to get done.
No problem. I've had bullets shot at me before. It's not an issue, right?
Yep. And remember, we had already been in Afghanistan, and our senior guys from our platoon before had been in Somalia, Desert Storm.
Yeah, like Patrick.
Yeah,
Larry Sean Patrick.
We had experience.
So we're driving through there. So they had told us about them baiting guys or dropping wires to catch guys on the Humvees and stuff.
It hit Walt Hasser fucking right the fuck off.
We're in the middle of this fucking driving through this shooting alley where they're shooting at us. And I just fucking slam on the brakes because I don't want him to get snagged and pull it out of the Humvee. And I'm like, Walt, you good? Walt, you good? And he had to pound on the top. Hey, I'm good. And then we kept going.
Burned through. Interesting. When it caught on the back, because I was right behind you, it caught on the back of your gypsy rack after roll. And when you pushed through, the thing snapped with so much force, it hit my winch, ripped the winch off. And because my arms, remember, we had no doors, my arms were here as I was driving. The winch hit my elbow and almost tore my fucking arm.
That's the one where, so we had rounds.
We were getting masked on each side.
So I had a round go right behind my head. So I'm lurched forward.
Yeah, me too.
I had a round go right behind my head. If I was driving normally, it would have caught me right in the fucking neck. But it went right behind my head and hit the side post in the Humvee and shattered.
Yeah,
and it threw shrapnel
and all
into
these
my
boys,
ears and
everybody
shit.
Aside from the drivers, everyone else, guns outboard, rocking everything.
Oh, yeah.
To put it,
so I had my M4 out the window fucking bam, 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 bam. So I turn around at the end of that to make sure Evan's okay. And all I see is a fucking Kevlar with 2 boots sticking out the bottom of it. I don't know how. So Evan Wright is 6'5" or something.
Down in the bottom.
He's fucking huge.
Yep.
And he turned into water and melted into
the floorboard of the left side. That's right.
So I'm taking control. So
go ahead.
So to paint a picture here for everyone that's listening, which a lot of you are civilians that have no idea about combat training. Imagine one of you sitting in the very first vehicle in the back right seat, excuse me. No training on how to fucking defend yourself, kill. You're a scribe.
That was his first.
You're observing. Yeah. He's a civilian. He's a writer, dude. He wrote for Hustler magazine. Awesome. That's why we loved him initially. So we're young guys, women, right? So this dude, we're getting in the biggest fucking fight of our lives. The first one, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds, thousands of rounds coming at us, dude. Overwhelming fucking firepower.
Absolutely. And then an outboard automatic grenade launchers and 50 cals dropping buildings. It was like we were Godzilla through Tokyo.
True story. And you have a civilian from LA who's there to merely collect and observe.
Yeah.
And he's in the worst of it, dude. I think a lot of people don't give the dude credit.
I give him credit. I give him a lot of credit.
And
He thought about quitting after that. He thought about, I'm
ready to
balance.
go.
We're like, stick with it.
And dude stuck.
That's why I asked, because I mean, putting a civilian in a situation like that that's never been part of something like that, I can't even imagine what his thought process was. So the fact that he didn't fucking call it, right? I didn't know that was the first one. It's been, I've seen the series, but it's been fucking 10 years ago or whatever. I can't believe, and like you guys just said, kudos, I can't believe he didn't call it right after that and be like, all right, fucking I'm done. Get me the fuck out of here.
Well, to be honest, if he could have, he would have. We were in the middle of leading an invasion, and there's no assets to get a motherfucker
we were
out.
at the very front. Like the invasion was
there was
behind
no
us.
assets to get him out.
There's not a fucking Uber to go to the airport. Like, I'm done with this.
That's right.
Like, he's stuck with this. He's gonna walk home.
Say afterwards, like, I want to get the fuck out of here, but I have no way to do it.
So he's like, I think it might be done. We're like, don't be a pussy, dude. and he did that after every firefight.
Yeah,
but he stuck through the whole. He's like, I don't know if I was just so naive.
He was,
or whatever. It was naivety, honestly.
but I respect.
But he felt comfortable. As time went on, he felt comfortable being with us.
Yes.
The blanket of us is just fucking killing shit.
And to this day, remember, I fucking dug his first fighting hole because the motherfucker was frozen.
His Ranger grave.
He couldn't he couldn't act. He was frozen. I said, at least get the fuck down, because he's 6'5". At least fucking take a knee. And I dug his fucking Ranger grave and put him down there. To this day, he will tell you the most transformational experience and what he feels that has been most important in his life is that 3 or 4 weeks with us to this day.
I'm sure. For somebody that's never experienced something like that, the first time that for a military guy, the first time that you deploy is a big deal. And then to deploy and go into combat, something you've been training for your whole life or your whole military career, is very transformative. Yeah. I can't imagine being a civilian who's like, I want to write about combat, and then you just end up in that situation. Yeah, that to this day, that guy still probably fucking says the Lord's
Prayer. As far as reporters go, he was the most forward reporter for the entire invasion.
And Patrick, without him, who knows, there may not be a Raider battalion. Right? Yep. If he wouldn't have captured what we did, and
so the significance and the power of it.
Yes, and then Jason and I went back to Fallujah after that and fucking wrecked house. After that, MSOB was created.
Whole different deployment.
Yep. But we were on the radar, and we have to give him credit for that. If it wasn't for Rolling Stone,
do you know how many guys joined the Marine Corps because of
us?
Kill?
Because of us.
Sure.
I hear that all the fucking time. Yeah. I hear that all the time.
Yep.
Honestly,
I'm sure.
When we got back, we were the redheaded stepchild. We were in hot shit.
Yep.
Because of what Evan wrote in the Rolling Stone articles.
Yeah.
Brad, he was picking up staff sergeant. He was a sergeant at the time picking up staff. He had to go meet in front of Mattis and kind of explain himself for the Generation Kill thing before they let him pick up staff. There was no fucking way I could have stayed in, because I kind of became the scapegoat for that whole thing.
What's the word?
Like, they thought I ghost wrote the whole thing.
Yeah, what's the word? I don't think in some ways. I don't think
here. Let's talk about it here, because I've never spoken this on a podcast, but oh boy, Griego.
Okay.
Look, Griego, when I first came back, I was fucking not welcome. Griego hated my fucking guts because he saw me as the personification of the whole Generation Kill thing, the articles.
And he made it personal with you.
And it made it personal. I was the center and the focus of everything negative from that series. If he would have fucking communicated to me, I would have vouched for him and said, look, they stereotyped him. The whole battery thing was not his fucking debacle. He was making lemonade out of lemons, right?
Yes, that's a better way to put it.
He's a good fucking dude, and I would have vouched for him.
He paid his dues. He's paid his dues in the recon community since '91.
Griego's a good fucking dude.
He was
if he just would have fucking communicated to me.
the Brown
I would have
brother
been his biggest advocate.
I'm with you.
But he turned me into his focus of hate of that whole thing, and
put you on the whipping post,
and it was misdirected.
And honestly, like, look, if they think if you think they got you so wrong, what makes you think that they got me so right?
Well said.
In any of us.
Yeah, well said.
Truly.
Yeah, they turned me into a cartoon as well.
They turned me into a character.
Yeah, they turned me into a cartoon.
Right?
They made me into a broad surfer.
Look, am I an asshole that's sarcastic? Yes.
You're not an asshole. You have a very cutting sense of humor, but you give the shirt off your back. So you're really not an asshole. You're just your cutting sense of humor, and you're clever, humor. And you're clever humor.
Right. You're a lot fucking funnier than you were on the show. I tell you that.
True story. No offense to PJ.
Not even close.
This dude, for the record,
fucking close.
This dude is about 10 times funnier than the role they portrayed him as.
Holy shit!
Like, dude, hands down, fucking hilarious.
And you know what's interesting? Well, how about this? Yes, Griego struggles deeply now. Where some of us...
He should be proud of what he did, though.
I agree.
He has a phenomenal career, but he's letting the Generation Kill thing taint him.
To this day.
And that's
super messed up.
And if he leverages us, we can vouch for him and overcome whatever negativity that he thinks that he got cast.
To my boys here and for the listeners out there, in Fallujah, on one specific day, this man was our platoon sergeant. And he got us all home. This dude is a recon Marine, 20 plus years, the biggest stack of fucking medals, not that they matter, that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
From SOY, his whole career was recon, dude.
Yep.
The only...
Wow.
So in Fallujah in 04, we're going to bounce forward for a moment. We got attacked by 70 plus insurgents on April 7th. Lost Captain Brent Morrell. Eddie Wright lost his arms. A gigantic fucking firefight. And every day we practice, it's called rock drills. We got like little fucking rocks. We practice a contact.
For your order of movement and then breaking contact.
We practice these drills. And one of those was a contact right or left drill. The first 2 or 3 vehicle mounted patrol, I should say.
Yep.
How we would counter an ambush, which was an L shape, which is the most famous way to counter an ambush. Basic and it works. And we did exactly that. And that was his call over the radio. Contact right. Break right, L-shaped right, last 2 vehicles. He was the 5th vehicle, I was the 4th. And without that,
there'd been many more killed and wounded.
Everyone on the X would have got fucked up, dude.
Many more.
Myself and like 4 other dudes dismounted and whacked a fuck ton of dudes to take the heat off the fucking kill vehicle.
To get the casualties out of there.
To get the helicopters in.
Eric and Eddie.
And I solely give credit to Dan Griego for this moment, dude. He got painted fucked up in a book, man. And the book had some truths, it had some exaggerations, but Dan Griego was definitely sold wrong.
It's a perspective.
Was a perspective. This was my point about 30 minutes ago. From a civilian observer position that was not a Marine, that was not trained to fucking defend, to kill, to execute, to do missions.
To obey orders. He's not trained to do that.
He was a microphone, and he was a fucking recorder, dude. I mean, honestly. Yeah. And I love the fucking dude.
Yeah, I do too.
So it's from one perspective, truly.
Like there were
influences from Simon, influences from the other writers,
HBO as well.
From the money aspect of a fucking show. Yep. Dan Griego is a fucking stud.
And if you recall, back at that time, the wars, both which we've been in, were very unpopular. And so part of the...
Well, Afghanistan was pretty popular. When we were there...
everyone
would have given their left nut.
But by the time
we were at 9/11, we were already south of
I'm talking about when Generation Kill came out.
I've only got one left.
When Generation Kill came out, was at a very unpopular time for the military.
2007.
I think it came out in 09.
07.
No, I mean the film.
Yes, 07. July 13th, 2007. That's my birthday.
I think it was later. I think I was filming it. I think I was filming it at that time in 07. I believe I was filming. I believe it came out in 08 or 09. The miniseries.
Look it up.
It was. We'll look it up. But it was a very unpopular time. Afghanistan was not popular. Nothing. Matter of fact, Afghanistan was an afterthought because we were so embedded into Iraq, and then Afghanistan exploded too. So the HBO and the people the money behind it. They were very anti-President Bush.
And in defense of every American that was a part of this fucking ordeal, this was our first true war.
In mountain.
Since Vietnam.
And we were never in mountain. No, this is cutting edge.
Like
we were not doing mountain.
You had like Q fucking City, like Wade City. You had some urban shit.
Yes, loosely, but not mountain. We were doing things like the Rat Patrol and SAS in World War II, except with modern weaponry. This is the first time
we German SS and their Blitzkrieg vehicles.
Yeah, it was a Blitzkrieg operation with a new technology. And it was the first time it was done. To me, it was a complete success story that only 2 were wounded and no one was killed.
True story. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying.
From an outsider, you absolutely, and knowing the military, can't disagree with that. I mean, the what you guys did, skill and fucking luck, like 100%. You guys did a good fucking job.
We were inventing shit as we went along.
So to that note, we had fucking flak jackets from Vietnam stuffed underneath our seats.
Not
IEDs.
So we
mines.
We went to
IEDs. IEDs weren't a fucking thing until really 04 for Fallujah.
Yeah, so we went down to Dermo and picked up stacks of those old Vietnam era flak jackets. And we popped it
so
bottom of the
and sandbags in the fucking windows, dude. Like this
so that we could fight behind them. I mean, it was pandemonium in the ring.
In defense of Recon, and definitely, I love the support that SOCOM had. We were like the bastard SOCOM, not SOCOM, SF, but not SF. Yeah. We were like these bastard fucking kids. The old Marine Corps hated us. Like we were cowboys, but that's what made us fucking tight and professional and to a gnat's ass with missions. Discipline was fucking high. So we were embodied the Marine Corps with ethos and love and fucking pride and execution more than anything. And we were thrown into this fucking crazy situation, and we came out. We came out with each other, dude.
And with a great attitude. Like we
loved it.
We were in hell. Oh, we got dysentery. I think myself and only one other did not get sick.
I didn't get sick.
Okay,
I did.
Everybody was throwing up and diarrhea in mop suits and still fighting, and not a single complaint. And not a single complaint from anybody.
You remember when we
fever? Budweiser had such fever that we just had him lay down a few hours in between fucking running and fighting. Fever, dysentery, and still we didn't slow down a bit.
Jesus Christ.
We ran out of food, so I'm going to bring you
when we
outran our logistics train. So our log train
by a long shot
for our listeners out there, which was a convoy of all of our supplies, our beans, our fucking bullets, like our ammunition, our food. That's right. They were behind us while we were blazing to spear this fucking path, right? We blitzkrieg so fast, so ahead, we fucking lost them.
For 2 days, I think it was.
I think it was longer than that.
Maybe it was longer than that.
Completely out of fucking food.
Well, we had 2 days. We had 2 days with no food. We had run out of our food. So maybe
what was your guys' like? What was your direction? Like, hey, go. Did they say, hey, go to fucking Baghdad? What was your? Where were you guys driving to?
So Mattis had the invading force, and what he used Recon for, which is kind of ingenious, is he would have us go a different route ahead of the invading force to make the enemy think that we were going that direction. And so we were like Recon by fire. So we were bait. And then they would move all their assets over there, and then boop, the invading force just keeps going fucking hey diddle diddle down the middle.
So it was this hot skip ahead, and
But I think at one point we got so far ahead.
Yes.
That
that was after we did the airfield.
Yes,
the British SAS that we beat.
I thought we were going to die that day.
Yeah, the main effort was lagging way behind. And we were like, well, fuck, okay, I guess we can dig in and see what we're going to do.
Talk about the airfield. Talk about that day a little bit, because I know that's in the series, right?
Yeah.
Dude, so
you guys at the airfield?
Yeah, so this little break, from what I recall, inject here, we had this little bit of break, and it was outside. I remember it was like to crit. It was getting fucking hard, like Artie. We watched that. we were in this like big circle defensive perimeter. All the weapons, all the guns, all the vehicles are pointed out. We had a little bit of downtime for like a fucking
Is that when
day.
the BM-21?
It felt like a week, but we were down for only maybe 24 to 30
like a day or
to 36 hours, maybe 48 hours. But because our op tempo was so high, it felt like a vacation.
Dude, it was amazing.
We were like, wow! We get to cook coffee, and hey, here's a wash rag. Here's a wash rag.
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were woken up. We were woken up at like fucking 05, like ass crack at dawn. Sun's just coming up. They're like, hey, by the way, it's disseminated from the highest ranks down. There's an airfield. We need you to fucking.
The Brits are going to do an assault.
British SAS are going to jump into it.
Are jumping in
and
to
we're like,
prep the zone, and we need to do an overt assault on an airfield.
What they told us was the towers were manned. They were fucking tanks. They were T-55s, C-72s, or whatever the fuck
everything
they were.
Was hostile.
Shoot everything. And
they're like,
individually, my truck with the spare, I was like, in my head as an individual, I was like, today's the day I die. We're going to fucking die. We're going to die today. I'm with my boys. Fuck it, dude.
Okay, this is it.
I'm like, we're going to go do an airfield?
Hold on a second. So they're telling you guys that the SAS is going to jump into this fucking target, and they wanted you guys to assist or have control of it before they came in?
Honestly, we were fighting to who can get there first.
It was on the fly.
So we were going to try and get there first, so that the British SAS mission would get canceled. Because fuck them.
And trust me, Patrick. No one was talking to Ray Person about what to do.
Yes.
General Mattis might have been thinking this will be great for the fucking thing. The unit. No.
Colonel Ferrando was like, fuck them. We're getting there first.
But nobody was talking to Corporal Person about the strategy of what we were doing.
The fucking Corporal Underground, dog.
Corporal Underground. Fuck out of here. It was much higher than us, Patrick, and we were told to. Get to the airfield and everything.
Look, I was the field commander there, right?
Jesus Christ,
motherfucker. So go
very dry here.
Go ahead, fucking Lieutenant Colonel Person.
So we,
tell them how it was going,
dude. First recon in this fucking movement, this convoy, hauling ass into the fucking sun, into the sun. Wrong fucking move. So we're seeing anything that moves, we're fucking shooting. And that happened. And that fucking happened.
It did happen.
My boy, I gave him a nickname, BTK, Burger King, the baby killer.
Yes.
He fucking shot this kid
with
a 3-round burst from a saw from a moving vehicle.
I witnessed it. I was right behind him, brother, because I was in the take right behind him. I saw it all.
And I heard it. He's like, I think I got him.
Yep.
Like, okay,
and it was a kid. He's looking at shadows. The sun's in our face. Everything's hostile. We're like a few meters from the airfield.
And I witnessed this. It was a child and a mother and maybe another person, but they were herders, and one or two of them had sticks that we were under such fatigue. It'd been 2 weeks with no real sleep.
True.
And very attrited, and everybody had dysentery. Very attrited, and you're seeing stick. And everything was declared hostile. I heard it on the radio right then, and then shortly after that was the burst.
Yeah,
he hits this kid, and we do a fucking quick. This is what I'm really proud of, like humanity and the empathy that our unit had as a whole.
I don't think it ever happened before.
We took a pregnant pause because we realized as a unit, went up the chain in comms, that we just hit a fucking a civilian, a non-combatant. Doc Bryan, 18 Delta, who is now a PA, maybe a doctor.
Yeah, he is a
redhead
doctor.
stepchild. The only 18 Delta to go to fucking Marine Corps sniper school and fucking become honor grad. God, fucking love this dude. Stud, man. Gets out, patches this kid up, long story short.
Amazing.
Bird comes in. We extract this kid and his mom, I think, and his family, and they save this kid's fucking life.
I don't think that's ever happened in warfare before, what we did. And it wasn't us sergeants and corporals call. No. But there was it was Fick and Ferrando, and we have to give him credit. Ferrando realized that if we let this little boy just bleed out, it would so destroy our morale. Also, because Tromley he was out of SOI.
18 years old.
He was out of his depth. And
not a recon Marine yet.
Yeah, not at all. He was set up for failure to be with the best unit, to be in the best unit of the Marine Corps to lead this thing. And so really, the responsibility would have been to hire. not to Trombley that he did what he did, but Ferrando was wise enough to buckle to the pressure from Fick, from Wynn, and maybe a couple other, and Doc Bryan and Patterson, another officer.
Yes. Yeah.
And we did a tactical pause to do a CASEVAC for a civilian. I don't think that's ever happened.
A young boy. I mean, probably 8 to 10 years old.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, therefore saving the soul of the unit. And then we went right back to fighting after that.
So you guys know we did the recon on that.
Okay, tell me.
Before with Marino's team.
Our
perspective, we were the team on foot.
Out there.
When all that shit fucking happened, waiting for you guys, like, oh no, a fucking kid got shot. We're still like out in the middle of nowhere, just watching it all from a distance. Foot mobile. You know, it was just fucking crazy.
It was crazy.
You know, like this is all coming in on the radio. We didn't. It was just crazy to hear too, because I mean that that airstrip was abandoned. Yeah, we're like, what the fuck happened? We gave you the recon on it.
Yeah,
nothing here. Why are you coming in and shooting? I didn't understand.
So you guys shoot the airfield and it's empty?
Very good point, dude.
It was empty.
Very good point.
We did the recon on it. There was nothing, nobody there. You know, it sucks, but it happened.
Communication stress, tired, fatigue,
and that nature of being such a kinetic force. We're just fucking going.
Do you remember the fucking the A-10s that came in?
Oh yeah, the Warthogs.
That was when we did the hammer and anvil maneuver. Remember that?
Oh, they came on the airfield.
They came on the airfield as well.
They were giving Overwatch.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
dude, it was the first time that I was fearful of true fratricide.
We were going to get smoked because they came.
They came down. From. I remember because I was a driver as well. I remember looking up and seeing this thing coming down at a 45.
Like
dude.
They were going for a gun run.
And it did a little fucking shake with the fucking wings.
Maybe because you had the roof, you didn't see it.
True story.
Probably.
We were a little harder.
Yeah, those A-10s, they come down at a 45. When that Gatling gun, when that gun goes off, the plane fucking stops in midair. So like it's coming down and it's like.
How was that?
And then it keeps going.
How was that again? So I thought we were all going to get lit the fuck up, dude. But it gave us a little shake with the wings to let us know he sees us. With the VSR panels on the fucking.
Oh, it was pandemonium. Think about how chaotic we were making. We were making control out of chaos. The terrain was chaotic. The enemy was chaotic. The pace was chaotic, and a brand new way of communicating with all these different forces. We had Air Force Air, we had Naval freaking support, we had Marine Corps Air, we had Army Air, and then we were leapfrogging with all these different units. Nothing like this had ever been done. And so for all those people that had a bone to pick for George Bush, that were working for HBO, that thought this would be a black eye to an administration, when Generation Kill, the miniseries came out, I thought it showed the incredible success of small unit leadership and the love that we have for each other. That's the way I saw it.
So let me. We're going to segue. We're going to take control here, man. Great point. I know how it is for me as an individual. And I know what you guys have been up to personally since then. But looking back 20 years later, like, how has this affected your lives as veterans from this perspective 20 years later? We were young fucking kids, man. Like, how has this one deployment affected your perspective on the government, life, your own lives, like since? Like, how's the last 20 years been for you guys?
Pretty eye-opening.
In what sense?
Oh, fuck, I thought George Bush was the shit.
Me too.
I know!
I got to go kill and shit.
And
got paid to do
we went back to Fallujah and Ramadi. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Will.
Like WMDs, man, we had to get Saddam out of there. You know?
We were looking for him.
I don't know. Like for me, honestly, my whole Marine Corps experience, recon, everything.
Recon, like pecan.
Yeah, like
Wakanda.
Like
Wakanda
forever.
I love it.
Actually, that's hilarious.
Me and the bros.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, like for me, it was I can fucking do anything I want.
Absolutely.
The world is my oyster. All I got to do is fucking attack. Yeah. And so, and honestly, when I left the Marine Corps, I left the Marine Corps behind, right?
When was that? When was that?
There's still at the very end of 2003.
03.
So
right
before
Fallujah. Right before Fallujah. So for me, I got out, and it was sort of like, I can fucking do whatever I want.
That's right. And you're capable to do anything.
I'm going to kill whatever I attack.
Yep.
Right. And so for me, it turned into more the business world. Right. But, with a company and attack that, and we're successful, even as a father. Right.
Absolutely.
So like I put as much heart and soul into being a dad as I do into being a company as I did being a recon Marine. So everything I do in my life, I try to be the best at that, like the best neighbor, the best friend, the best dad, the best fucking, the best boss. Like all of that kind of stuff it's the same mentality. It's just different perspectives of life.
Yeah, you just repurposed it for your benefit.
Just fucking attack, right?
Yes.
There's no roadmap to this. You create your own future.
Kind of like the invasion.
Right.
I mean, we didn't know how we were going to do it. And
future.
The confidence that you got from being able to do what
work it out as you go along, right?
That's right.
And you pivot and you position and you adjust, fire, and you keep going, right? And so for me, it was like phenomenal. Like, I had a midlife crisis at 18, and that's why I joined the Marine Corps to begin with, right? Because I didn't know honestly what I wanted to do with life. I thought I did, but I changed, right? And so I did this as sort of like a cleansing, right? It's like when you go eat sushi and you eat the piece of
wasabi. Ginger.
Of the
ginger in between.
You cleanse your palate, and now you're ready for whatever's next.
That's right.
The Marine Corps to me was that. It was the ginger. It opened my horizons. It made me realize that I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yep.
And so then when I got out, it was fucking attack life, and it's been that way since. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, brother. That's why you've been so successful, brother. I'll speak. I love Recon to this day so much, and I love the brothers and Recon and what we stand for so much. I re-enlisted. We got out of Afghanistan and Pakistan. I re-enlisted for the invasion because I joined in the 90s. And then after that, Fallujah was briefed to us, a town that no one had ever heard about as an insurgency hotbed. I went as a senior team leader. Something about that war, because it was so bloody and bloodthirsty and savage and continuous. 7 months of hunting, 7 months of hunting and being hunted and killing and destruction in between. It changed me because I no longer cared about my life except as it pertains to being a Recon Marine and being a hard fighter. I was married at the time, and I no longer cared to be associated with anything before. I think because of the bloodthirsty shit that we went through and did and what we had to compartmentalize.
Yep.
And when I came home, I was not the same person. And now looking back, what it was is post-traumatic stress and depression from redlining too long, a little too long.
Agreed.
And I had the pride for the unit, and I had the discipline of a lifelong athlete. That's all I had. So I was a workaholic, and then and I kept succeeding at work, but really nothing else was successful, not inside. Left my wife, left sobriety, been a sober person my whole life, straight edge. Left everything except competition in a masochistic way. I needed to feel so much pain all the time because I didn't really have a reason to lay my life on the line anymore. Because actually you find out in the civilian world, there's not much to lay your life on the line for except your wife and your kids. And if you don't have a wife and kids, there's no perspective. I got into film and television, and then I went into contracting. I was always well for the job, but after missions doing counterterror or TV or movies, heavy drugs and alcohol, and I was not alone. I was not alone. All of my Recon brothers and SEAL brothers and Green Beret brothers were all right there with me. So I said, fine, at least I have them with me. It took me 10 years to get myself back together, and I started my comeback about 7 years ago. Yeah. So
family's important. Honestly, my wife is my rock.
Oh, she's the best. That's the best one.
You know, we've been married 17 years now this year.
Children are beautiful. They're beautiful, brother.
You know, without her, I would be nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother.
She's the reason I live.
I met you in RIP with Lockoff, Jesse, God rest his soul.
Yep.
When Gunny Barrett, the stud, the myth.
Oh, for sure.
When I first met you, you were doing shirtless. I know it's kind of weird, but he does take a shirt off.
He is wearing a shirt right now.
Shirt on.
He was doing backflips on the fucking alpha shelf when you took us up to the alpha shelf during RIP.
Well, because I do gymnastics, of course, and Tai Chi.
He was 32. I was 23. 33. How old are you now?
Yeah, I'm 51 now.
51.
I'm 51.
He had me by like 8-9 years, and he was like this shining example of a fucking recon Marine, physicality-wise. I'd never seen
and a great attitude. Am I right?
You were
Did you ever
positive,
even
dude.
see me? I mean,
he treated us like the grunts. That's what was different from the grunts to recon. Is like there was a standard, but like they saw you as an individual, and what can you bring to the team?
Exactly, you're an asset to what we're about to do.
So I mean, yeah, they were fucking crazy to us, but
it was hard. But
I wanted to be there.
Look, you either have the tuner or you don't.
You're right.
That's
you're
fine.
right.
If you don't have the tuner, just go away. It's
that's
cool.
right. It was never abuse. It was never abuse. It was just a super high standard. And if you're there, how can we not see you as an asset?
Yeah. My point for knowing you now, you know, we all go back and forth in our lives. We all have to come back together, right? The time changes, but I've known you now off and on for 20 plus years. And this is the happiest I've ever seen you.
I've never been better.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
And he's always been, for our listeners, this guy has always been positive.
Yes.
Like his positivity is like spread through the fucking unit, man.
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
I think that's what I was born to do, though, really.
Yeah.
And it was effective for all of us to keep a great attitude to each other and support one another with a little bit of coffee or a little bit of food or a little bit of PT because the world around us sucks.
A little bit of PT.
Yeah, we used to fucking
be a little bit.
But you know,
the
world around us was dangerous and it sucked. All we had was each other.
But that's part of the thing with the reconnaissance community is that the only people that were there are people that enjoy things that suck.
Suffering.
The challenge of
They enjoy suffering.
Yeah.
And I think that's with all soft. Like, if you don't enjoy suffering,
it's not for
you shouldn't. It's not for you. You shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Right? And we did it for the challenge. And we did it. I wanted to be with guys that would uplift me.
Yeah.
And make me into this man that wore this armor. I wanted to be with a group of dudes that it was cutthroat, but like it was just higher thinking.
It was.
Physicality was higher.
It was the
like,
big boy club.
It was like the NFL of Marines at the time.
You're right. You're right.
And it was that. I found that and I was like, holy fuck, dude, I'm so average.
We're here together. It was, we'll never forget it. It's in our dreams still. That's why when that's why when we get together or talk on the phone, we're like 12 years old again. I don't think it'll ever change. I bet you in our 40-year reunion, we'll still be the same way.
Yeah.
You know?
So the last time I saw Josh was in 2005 at the premiere of Generation Kill at Camp Pendleton. The last time I saw Mr. Will here, Prescott, we were talking about this earlier, was honestly in like 03/04.
Yeah, it would have been 04 probably.
And I saw him at the airport and instantaneously recognized who he is. And here we are. I mean, it's like we're like those Vietnam/war vets of our generation, Gen X, 90s, 2000s.
Totally. Like the Normandy vets and the fucking Iwo Jima vets.
We're going to be wearing our foam hats.
That's right, brother.
Yeah.
And back to WRF, the Warrior Reunion Foundation, and I love what they're doing, but reunions are everything.
Yeah.
And we've all gone through like periods of like alienation.
Yes.
And I do it a lot, man. Like I get super introverted and I think I'm like connecting to my dudes, but it goes by like years go by or months go by and I'm like doing my own fucking thing. And then like I find an excuse to like, you know, there's a get together and I'm like, you know, maybe next time, dude. And before you know it, it's fucking 20 years.
That's right.
I think all of us kind of like subconsciously finding ways to not come to this to some degree. Like, oh, I'm too busy, X, Y, and Z. But we all we're here now. And I wish all of us could have fucking been here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because nobody understands the suck other than the guys that went through the suck.
And I'm thankful for who is here.
Yes.
I'm thankful. But we need, at our 25,
honestly, some of the people that should have been here the most aren't going to be here. Because they need it the most.
Yep. And that's why this is so important. And and what you're doing with the nonprofit to get units together, because isolation kills. Where it's a destruction that's happening in our communities with depression, alcohol, drug abuse, unemployment, then homelessness, then suicide. And this stuff heals, man. It freaking heals. That's why I had to be here. Not for me, but for the brothers that are struggling. Because I finally have something together. Why? Because my brothers cared about me when I was struggling. And they kept me together and got me seeing straight again. We have some brothers that we tried to get out here, and we don't know if they're coming or not. They really need us, and that's why we're here. You know,
we need them.
Yeah,
and and for listeners out there and the guys that are veterans that are listening, like, I give a fuck what title you are.
Yeah, what your MOS is.
What MOS, what money you're making.
Supply in the Marine Corps, life sucked for you.
No matter who you are,
sure.
If you were admin in the Marine Corps, life sucked for you.
If you wore a uniform, I love you and I respect your service.
Yeah.
If you wore a uniform.
It takes a team, right?
And especially with the Recondos, like, and maybe like the reason why you're not here is because maybe you don't feel like you're holding your weight, or you wanted to be at a point in your life and you're not at that standard yet that you hold to yourself. I give a fuck. Like, you're an 0321, you're a Recondo. I give a fuck if you're president or on the streets. I love you, dude.
Yeah, look at JJ Carrizales. Jeff Carrizales, fucking 03 Motor T. 03 Motor T. If it wasn't for him, none of this would have happened. He's the only one that kept the vehicles going. I'm so happy he's going to be here.
For listeners,
so excited.
For listeners, Motor T's are mechanics that keep our vehicles.
Yeah.
Every downtime, that dude was cranking a fucking wrench.
It's true, changing tires. We didn't know how to do
But
all
then
that.
when Darnold got shot, that's when he got pulled into the team.
As an operator.
As an operator in Eric's team. Because
that's kind of crazy.
He had the mindset of a recon Marine.
He'd been at the unit for 3 years.
Sarcasm, the pessimism.
Yeah,
born loser. It says born loser on his cap.
And the other one was blood for blood.
Yeah.
Born loser, blood for blood.
5th generation Tejano Mexican.
So
right?
my brown brother here.
Texican.
And he's super successful now, by the way.
He is one of the best welders you'll ever meet in your life. In the Marine Corps, like, close to your EAS, you're into service. You're like, so what's up, dude? You're so excited to get out. You don't know what's going to happen, but you got an idea. Like, yo, Jeff Carrizales, like, what are you going to do, bro? And he's like, man, I'm going to go be a DJ at the Gravitron at a carnival.
I used to take things very literal. I used to be a very serious person.
He was serious about it.
And I used to hate Jeff Carrizales because he was such a dirtbag and his pants sagged, and he was just such a fucking sarcastic piece of shit.
Fucks.
However, after that heavy fight where Sean Patrick was wounded and my vehicle was ripped apart and 3 of my tires were blown out, and I get to him and he fixed it, and the look he had in my eye, because knowing Sean's gone and Sean's going to be here, a legend, and the look we had about, we're losing people that we love and we still don't know when this is going to end. And that's when the relationship changed. But what a man. He's been a dear brother of mine since getting out because of entertainment and support. He worked for me as a contractor. I was a mission manager on some stuff with EOD. And I'm proud of him. He wears a black sweatshirt with pride. I love the man, and I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he earned it. I'm glad he's here. I can't wait.
So what's he do now?
He's a welder for a very high fucking actress by the name of
it's his own company now.
Yep.
So he does certified welding in LA
and construction.
But then also, like, he did for the reason he moved to LA originally was comedy.
For comedy.
So
he's a part-time comedian. Yeah, he's a part-time comedian.
Hilarious.
He gets thrown out of every place.
He's in Generation Kill. So he was an advisor and helped with Generation Kill to do
bang-up job.
Mainly to make the Humvees that they bought work and shit.
That's true.
But then he was on set and they put him in front of this camera and he ad-libs, which is a big fucking no-no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he ad-libbed and David Simon's like, this is genius. We're keeping it, right? So he kept it. And then based on that, that's when they called him for the Green Mile or whatever.
The Green Zone with Matt Damon.
All
Greengrass.
So they had him try out for that position
as the bad guy.
Opposite
Damon.
Matt Damon. He gets off the plane and meets with them. He's short, right? And they're like, nope, you're not tall enough.
Yeah. But they kept him on the production.
We can't have somebody shorter than Matt Damon fighting Matt Damon as the bad guy.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know that.
Jeff now owns his own company, puts veterans to work for him and pays them a great wage. Works for Charlize Theron and Cameron Diaz and some very wealthy, powerful.
He does high-end, like,
cabinetry, welding, whatever.
Theater.
Nice.
He's put everything into his business. He's got work trucks that are fantastic. And he's
blue
still
collar.
with and he's still with us. And he's still with us, most importantly. He's still with us.
That's awesome.
He struggled with alcoholism when he got out as well. Like we all struggle with something. But he's doing fucking great now, and I can't wait to see him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, Jason, we got some people that asked some questions, so let me hit some of those.
All right.
Let me see here. So some of the stuff I think you guys have already covered,
Let's give them a shout out to what their handle is.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. This is from Elias. He says, from an outsider's perspective, the USMC appears to be rich in tradition and culture, but as the society around us changes, the Marine Corps changes as well. Is the Marine Corps changed notably from when you guys joined? And if so, are the changes good or bad? So that was a good question.
I don't know. I think the core of it's probably still the same.
I think the heartbeat's still there.
Yes.
But I think topical, in my individual opinion, there's been some ebbs and flows, and I think that, like you said, like that guy said, in society there's going to be that. But I think the heart of the Marine Corps from fucking 1775 in a goddamn bar.
Ton Tavern.
It's still there. I think it's still there.
They don't change the standards.
And I did the Marine Corps Super Bowl commercial, and I was the assistant director for this $5 million commercial. Nice piece of work that I did.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
If I do say for myself,
2017, I had grunts. I had.
Nobody watches those sports things.
They do. It's for the NFL Super Bowl. They do watch it.
Sportsing stuff.
Even then, actually, 7 years ago, because we were still in war, I thought the grunts might be weaker compared to us, and the Marine Corps, because we were still in war, that freaking unit, Horno, 1-1,
Amen.
A platoon sergeant was a sergeant who's 23 years old, had already done 3 fucking tours. They were fucking amazing. Wow. They were fucking hard. They were fucking tough. It was magnificent. Since the drawdown in Afghanistan, because I'm still connected to the Marine Corps, there's been immense change, and not in a good way.
More garrison focus.
Yes, and if you all don't know, the United States military is in a recruiting deficit, and in it's almost a pandemic of health. They can't make the physical fitness standards. So it has changed, and I am curious what's going to happen. My buddy Billy Billingham, Command Sergeant Major SAS, been there, done that, got the fucking T-shirt, 33 years in. He says, you know what? We just need a good fucking war, and it'll straighten all this shit out. And I'm of the same mind.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yep.
What's that saying? Hard times, weak times breed
hard men.
Hard times breed hard men. Hard men create easy times, or easy times create weak men.
Yeah, yep. And weak men create hard times.
Yep, it's a cycle.
Okay, so here's a new question. So this is kind of in that same vein. This is from Taylor. How have the recon and radar communities changed since you were in the good and bad?
Well, when did you guys get out? I think I might have been of the group here.
I got out in 04. I don't know.
09?
So I'm kind of disconnected.
05.
So it was
I got out in 11.
Right at the beginning of 04 into 03. So the only thing I can think of, and I'm actually kind of curious about this as well, is that in my mind, when MARSOC got stood up, or even Det 1 at the time,
which was the MARSOC predecessor,
they essentially gutted recon to form that up.
It did, because where else would you take it?
So to me, I was really concerned that the tradition, the standards within the recon community were going to become second tier. because the recon standards and community were going to be to MARSOC, and now recon was going to be made like a second tier, lower standard.
There would be a vacuum.
Correct. And so now you got to fill it with lesser thans.
So,
and I don't mean that like,
I hear you.
So quite like
a value standpoint.
Quite
I mean
the opposite happened.
Really.
The recon community is still, and I've done some things with Bobby Restano. And some of these.
I was just at the schoolhouse. It's better than ever, more professional than ever.
Corey
very high.
Paxman.
I was just with him a few weeks ago.
Dude,
it's coming back so
that's
strong.
That's good to hear.
So they have more support. The pools are better. The training is actually better.
And very professional.
Because they've got the draw to grab.
They do. It's still there.
Higher level people.
I think the recon Marines of today, thankfully, are
I think they're coming back
better trained. More supported across the board.
As opposed to third recon being their play, their gig, second recon being smokers, and then first recon really being the only show in town.
Pipe hitters.
Yeah, now it's really become
their standards.
I'm serious.
The training has been diversified. It's been spread out. The influence from MARSOC, the influence from SOCOM.
Totally.
The communication.
Keep that standard high.
Dude, recon and Raiders, never forget MARSOC's built on the backbones of fucking recon Marines. Of recon Marines.
That's right.
Specifically Det 1 guys as a fucking test pilot. That should have happened in the fucking 70s. MARSOC should have always just been fucking recon.
Yeah.
And I do hate that there's a separation because recon.
Well, there was a big push in the Marine Corps that every Marine is equally worthless, right? And so they don't want that because, number one, now you've got a unit that's outside of direct Marine control.
And that's
because it's taking its direction from JSOC, which is an Air Force guy, an Army guy.
Or a SEAL. There's a good point here.
Or a squeal.
Yeah, this is it, brother. We are different. Marines, period. And then recon is even more different. We're more. I work with SAS, SBS, and SEALs now. We're all high level and we all love the work. I am different. I am more aggressive, and I'm not the most aggressive of our community. I am more aggressive. I am more direct. I am more physical. Other militaries really can't work with us, and we can't be second in line to somebody else that's our commander that's not a Marine. It doesn't work well. I've witnessed it. It just doesn't work well. As contractors, it works better, but even then, you know what I went through with Green Berets and SEALs doing counterterror in Northeast Africa? They had the badges and the freaking name, but they also, they were just looking for Tusker time when they could drink beer after the fucking op.
Put on their Oakleys.
And no. Whores, alcohol, drugs in country. Whores, alcohol, drugs. There is no comparison. I would never want to be anybody else but a fucking Marine. Our discipline's at another level. That's the truth.
Awesome.
What do you have to say as a contractor? What do you have to say?
My contracting realm was unique with the agency and the State Department. I was pretty blessed with the guys that I served with, with the agency, because it was the first time as an operator from the Marine Corps that I got to stand online and shooting packages with SEALs, with Rangers,
with CAG,
with SEAL Team 6 guys. Yeah. And I think I've potentially in this one aspect maybe a little bit more optimistic outlook, just because my individual experience was, I remember looking specifically in this undisclosed location in America and this training for this position, GRS. Yeah. And looking down the line, I was one of 30 guys trying out for this unit.
Get some.
And looking at all the shot groups and all the echo silhouettes and seeing all the keyholes and seeing all the fucking tight shot groups, dude. And just, I had this moment of clarity, of the ego and the pride of MARSOC and Recon, which I do. It's my unit, it's my brothers. But I remember seeing at a higher level for the first time, because I was out of it. This is America on this line right now, and all these dudes were fucking drilling tacks.
And that's exactly why I think it doesn't mean anything, because those are the same guys that are fucking around on their wives, the same guys doing drugs on operations. No, see, I disagree completely.
No, dude, yeah,
I think it's fucking American hubris that you make NFL players shoot and they think they're worth a fuck. Because they're not. When it comes to life, their lives are fucking horrible. Divorces, kids all over, drug addiction, Harleys, boats, and now that the war on terror is dying down, they don't have work. So I disagree with you. I'm not impressed at all because the character is fucked up. I don't agree with you at all.
I'm listening, brother.
You feel what I'm saying?
I feel it.
I don't agree at all. And if we would have had the extra $10 million, not only would we shoot just as tight, but we'd be looking for more work, meaning more work in the field, more work in how to develop relationships with host nations. We are workers, and I think
that was a mantra we had, was always find work.
Yeah.
Always find work.
Yeah, it's interesting. You get where I'm coming from.
I do.
Nobody really talks about it, but I'm not afraid to do it. Because the truth is, when you create freaking jocks with guns mentality, and that's what some of these other cats are, hubris.
Well, they're badge hunters.
Well, no.
They want the title.
Brother,
they want
the issue is the women and the drugs, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
Well, it takes
because
a level of maturity,
No, it's because of pleasure. No, it's pleasure. No, it's from dominating in combat for so long. There's pleasure. There's pleasure from winning. And then there's the pleasure with bitches and drugs and pleasure with ego. And I am not impressed with it. I'm not.
Amen.
That's why Roger Sparks don't hang out with those cats. That's why a higher caliber of man is what I'm looking to be, as opposed to resting on how many people I kill. You see what I'm saying?
What do you think?
Definitely.
I know it's heavy, and I'm drunk now, but I'm telling you what I've experienced. You know?
I'm listening, brother. Go ahead.
Here's one specifically for Josh. I think this is funny. This is from Bag Karma 10 says, did you really quote the great warrior poet Ice Cube for the scribe?
Yes.
What is that? Because I'm fucking. It's been a while.
I know what you're gonna say.
So Ice Cube has, the song today. I didn't have to use my AK. Today was a good day, and so I would say that,
right?
Because it was a fun ass thing to say. Well, for the series, they did it. The great warrior poet Ice Cube once said, and then they fuck up how he says it. It's not like the song. The reason that they had to do that is because they didn't have the money to pay Ice Cube for the rights
to say
the normal way. So they couldn't say it the normal way, like today, I didn't have to use my AK. Today was a good day. So they couldn't say it that way because that's copyright violation. So what they did is they had him say it as the warrior poet Ice Cube once said. Today,
so it was like a quote.
So they paraphrase it, so they didn't have to pay the copyright,
or
the royalties, to use that in the thing.
So they gave him credit.
I know that.
So seriously, like the single line, they would have had to pay for that.
Fuck yes. Like there's a point in the film where Walt Hasser and I.
Great man.
Great
brother.
But I'm always making up songs, right? I'm a musician
he's
as well.
A singer.
So I would always just write songs and what was one of them? So I wrote one called Justin's of Jungles. And it's like, traded my Justins for jungles, traded my tractor for a tank, traded my simple country living for a desert in Iraq. And when I drank one at the local VFW, it's 'cause I earned it. I traded in my Justins I traded in my country for my country, So
that's great.
So it's like a play on words thing, right? So
great.
So we were constantly making up songs and singing. Well, I wrote a song that we made up called the Copenhagen Song, You remember the Copenhagen song, right? And so we developed it during the whole thing. Well, the actors actually sang it on screen or on film. They had to pay me for the rights to that song because they sang it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's fucking really cool.
So the Copenhagen song that they're singing in the series, I wrote it, so they had to pay me for the rights to that.
Great, as it should be. Speaking of which, I have a production company now, and the whole purpose of New War Productions is to put guys like us to work. Other people have been making money telling our stories and being us. I mean, I'm a very popular character on the biggest video game in the world. I do TV and movies all around the world. And
he's humble about it.
Well, no, it's the truth. I don't have to be.
No, it's 100%. He's right. Fucking do this, man. Do good for yourself and do good for the fucking guys around you, man. 100%.
And brother, still, I'm making a great living so that I can drop everything and come here. No problem. However, the producers and the channels and the networks, they make millions to my thousands. I want to change the scheme of maneuver where we work creatively, and these men get, as Josh just got his royalties for a song, that these men's intellectual property are received and paid for. That is my mission.
That we own our own stories.
Yes, we will, because it's about time. These brothers all put their lives and their mental health and their physical health on the line for the country, and they deserve to be respected with their intellectual property. That's my goal.
I like it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Give me that shit.
So this has been awesome. You guys have, I think this is going to be received really well. People have been wanting to hear some of these stories for a long time.
For a little bit, Patrick. It's like get fired up because I was in a mental institution for a year for veterans. I'm serious. And you know what? There wasn't a single warfighter there. But then my freaking
There wasn't?
No. It was all pokes and jailbirds and drug addicts. And then my tier brothers would come to visit me. Were offering to break me out so we could go do freaking blow at freaking Pacers outside of the depot. And I'm like, I'm trying to get my head together. Yeah. So sorry, I went off the reservation a bit. Go ahead.
No. This has been awesome. I think just people really have, and especially the people that are the hardcore fans that really love Generation Kill and love, and I want to say the characters, but obviously you guys and what kind of Evan created, and it's been received. I mean, that's the thing, is like some of that is 100% you guys and some of it is not you guys. I mean, you know that. I mean, I think you probably know that better than anybody, Rudy. So
they wrote my lines. Imagine that. They say, Rudy, be you, but you have to read these lines. I'm like, well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah. So
I auditioned to play myself. Yeah. I think I'd show up and fucking breathe.
And you nailed it.
And I wasn't good enough to be me.
I auditioned to play myself as well.
And that's kind of proof in the pudding of the system of it. Yeah. And I'm not talking shit.
Which is hilarious.
I love PJ. Dude, true story. True story.
Honestly, I'm glad that they had PJ play me instead of me, because I would have been like Rudy, like, hello, guys. What are we doing here?
It's harder than
it's way harder than you would think. Yeah. So I'm way glad that PJ played me,
because he's a great actor.
Way better.
Because PJ's a great actor.
Yes.
As is Kellan, is a great actor.
Fucking A, yes. He's a good human being. Yep. Good husband. Yeah. So in closing, guys, as the other half to this podcast, I've been counting down the days for this moment where I had some fellow Recondos alongside me, and not just my Navy brother here on the other side of this, but I've looked forward to this, man. And I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to put yourselves out there, be vulnerable, talk about these things. And I look forward to, the next 20 years, the next 60 years of our life. And Prescott, good seeing you too, brother. Awesome. Our listeners out there, thanks for taking the time to be a part of this as well. And I think this is a pretty special moment. So we'll see you guys next time. Check us out on our socials, Instagram, YouTube, obviously, and our new podcast that you're currently listening to. So thank you. And P, you got anything, brother?
No, that was awesome. Good wrap up, man. Hoorah.
Thank you, Patrick, brother. Thanks for having us on, brother. It's an honor to be here, brother.
This has been Savage Actual. Jason and Patrick are two former special operations guys who interview interesting guests who talk about video games, airsoft, and military subjects. Basically, they drink a lot of beer, talk about shooter games, and have fun. What's not to love? We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And the fellas will be back soon. But in the meantime, find them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Savage Actual. Y'all be cool, and we'll see you next time.